Hey, Coach Rienzo from BTB Lax here, and I want to talk to you about character in lacrosse. It's not something that people talk a whole lot about, but it's really important. And it's so important, I brought my trusty iPad with me. I've been coaching for a long time, 15 years, 11 at the collegiate level, and I want to make sure I get all this stuff right because it is that important. So sometimes I'll be glancing down here at my iPad just to make sure I get everything perfect for you. But the first thing I want to start out with, when we're talking about character in lacrosse, we've got a saying at BTB, it's do the right thing and be a good person. And while it may seem a little bit corny to you, especially for you older guys who think that you're the coolest people on the planet, it's an important thing to keep in mind for a lot of reasons. Obviously, just inherently in life, you want to do the right thing and you want to be a good person. But specifically to lacrosse, it's important to keep in mind because it can help you get recruited, it can help you land at the college of your choice, and I'll explain why to you in a second. So with regards to lacrosse, what if I told you that being a person of high character could help you end up at a school like Maryland or Virginia or Carolina or Duke or Notre Dame or Hopkins or Georgetown or places like that, some of the top schools in the country and some of the top lacrosse programs? You'd be interested in hearing why, I'd imagine, right? Well, that's what I want to do right now is kind of frame it for you so that you understand that being a good person and being someone of high character, doing the right thing, it's important to do in life, but it's really important in lacrosse. You'll gain a definite edge over other kids in your class, other people at your position who are vying for those really precious recruiting spots. I mean, each school has maybe 9, 10, 11, 12 recruiting spots to go out with. And how many thousands of kids are playing lacrosse these days? So if you can do something to distinguish yourself and being a good person, having high character is that thing, then you're going to be that much better off for it. So now let me tell you a little bit about the recruiting process, how it works. I spent 11 years coaching in college at Georgetown and Notre Dame. I've been coaching lacrosse for 15, 16 years. One of the things that we always looked for at Notre Dame and at Georgetown, well, actually there were three things, okay? The first and foremost was the athletic ability and skill of the student athletes that we were recruiting. So the athletic ability would be how fast you are, speed, strength, quickness, endurance, your size, your height. Obviously we tested in the bench press and squats and all those kinds of things. So those were measurable things you could gauge athleticism. But then we also looked obviously at the lacrosse skill. How good of a shooter were you? How good of a dodger? How many goals do you score? How good of a feeder are you? Assists? What kind of defense do you play? Ground balls? Toughness, all those kinds of things were really important. And so as we started the recruiting process, we'd go out and we watch thousands and thousands of kids every summer play lacrosse. And the kids who were the best athletes and the best players, they'd obviously stick out, and you start to build your list of kids. And there are guys that are at the top. They're the best players in the country. Okay, so they're up here. The second thing that we looked for, and it was really important, was academics. Okay, and I coached at two amazing schools, Georgetown and Notre Dame, two of the best schools in the world. But no matter what schools you're looking at, and even if it's Division I, II, or III, it doesn't matter. Academics are essential. So we'd look at what type of player are they? Now, what grades do they have? What is their GPA? Is it one of the better GPAs you've seen? What are their SAT scores? What are their ACT scores? Do they have some bad grades on their transcript? And all those things, at Georgetown and Notre Dame, about half the kids you recruit, academically, they're going to be too low. But at a lot of other schools, it's still important. Even if it's not one of the best schools around, it's essential that you have the better academics, and you're going to get moved up the depth chart if you have better grades. It's just as simple as that. Okay, and then the third thing, and what I'm talking to you about today, is character and work ethic. Okay, and they're kind of wrapped together because they're intangibles. But character is essential because we talked about how we measured players, the best athletes, the best players, okay, the academics. Now we've got a third column. We've got the character and the work ethic. Okay, so if we're recruiting a player that is the best player in the country and he's a pretty good student, maybe he's not the best, but he's pretty good, but we know he's just a jerk. And he's got low character, he doesn't work that hard, we're not going to recruit him. We don't want that guy. But if he's got high character, his coach recommends him highly. He's one of the hardest workers on the team. He's a great kid. You love being around him. He's a great leader. That's going to be somebody that we want. And when like I said, when you get down to the last couple spots in a recruiting class or the last spot at a position, maybe you've got somebody who's not the best, absolute best player, but they're kind of that next level player. And you've got not a great student, but a good student. But if he's one of those guys that outworks everybody, and he's one of the best kids around, and everyone loves being around him, and he's got a great attitude, that moves him up a little bit. So, you've got the athletic ability and athleticism and the lacrosse skill, you've got the academics, and then he's just the hardest worker and the best kid, high character. You're going to recruit that kid because he's somebody that you want on your team, whether it's for the last spot on your roster or the last spot at that position that particular year. A lot of times those players ends up being better than the ones with the skill anyway. So those are the kinds of things that coaches are thinking about all the time. And you need to think about that as well as you get into the high school age and start getting to that recruitable age and you want to play in college. It's something that you really need to think about. Okay, so now when we think about my time at Georgetown and at Notre Dame, we had guys that were amazing players who really were not that high on the character scale. Maybe they were on the lower end. We would just drop them right away because we don't want any guys on our team that are going to cause a problem and create any issues for us. So that's something that's important to keep in mind. But like I said before, if we know someone's a great guy, they're a hard worker, high character, they're going to get moved up the list a little bit. Okay, so what does that mean for you? Why am I telling you this? What does this have to do with really anything have to do with lacrosse? Okay, how do you put this into your daily life? So a lot of you guys are going to camps all summer. Even if you're a youth or middle school player, you're going to a couple camps most likely. You high school guys, you're going to tournaments. You're going to overnight camps. How you handle yourself at those camps, also obviously how you handle yourself at your high school and at home is important too. But with regards to lacrosse, how you handle yourself at those camps and tournaments is really important. Okay, are you goofing off with your buddies the entire time, causing problems? When you're in the dorms, are you staying up late, staying up past lights out and bouncing the ball at 1 in the morning and just creating problems for the people who are supposed to be watching the dorms? And are you getting into stuff that you're not supposed to be getting into? In the dining halls, are you behaving properly, or are you starting food fights? Are you leaving trash around? Are you not picking up after yourself and just making other people clean up after you? When you're walking to and from the field, how do you handle yourself? Are you just getting to the field, playing the game, having a good time, but just doing the right thing and playing the game and then going back to the dorms? Or as you're walking to the fields, are you yelling and cursing and carrying on and calling attention to yourself? And I'll tell you that college coaches are watching all that stuff when you get to the field and when you're putting your equipment on. Certainly when you're on the field, how you leave the field. But how you act on the field, the coaches are watching as well. So are you arguing with the officials? Are you putting your head down and sulking every time that you miss a shot or get the ball taken away from you? Are you encouraging your teammates, or are you bickering with your teammates? All those things coaches are watching, and they're evaluating everything that you do when they see you from start to finish when you go on the field. But the other thing is your high school coach or your club coach is going to recommend you to these coaches. And if you're somebody of really high character, they're going to mention that, and that's going to make a difference. And if you're not, if you're goofing around all the time, if you're not taking it seriously, it doesn't mean you can't have fun. We want you to have fun. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. But you have to do it the right way, okay? So it's important that you understand that. Obviously, back in school, what you do in school, in the hallways at school, in the classroom, that's all a reflection of this as well. So at the end of the day, keep in mind the BTB slogan that we have, do the right thing, be a good person. It applies to your life, how you handle yourself in life and in school, but really to lacrosse as well. If you want to get recruited to play in college, being a person of high character will help you out big time.
Did you know that there's just 2 simple things that separate the average youth and high school lacrosse player from the elite guys that are ready to go on to play in college and beyond? Yep, just 2 simple things. We teamed up with college All-American and multiple MLL All-Star Mike Kimmel to put together a completely free, 45-minute long, 3-part video training series that's going to show kids and parents exactly what those 2 things are. what you need to be working on if you want to take your game to the next level. And nope, it's got nothing to do with hitting the gym or running till you puke. If you're serious about improving as a player and you want to become one of the best guys on your team, get more playing time, and catch the eye of college recruiters, you have to see this free video training. Just click the link below in the description of this video and you'll be taken to a page where you can ask to receive instant access to these free videos. Join the thousands of high school and youth players that have already seen Mike's awesome training and take control of your game today.